Recording has started.
What's up, David? Here we are
Hey,
again, episode 3,
welcome back to Monetize Mondays, episode 3, take 4.
Take 4, right?
Well, we were talking about the authenticity. Why don't you go back into the conversation for those that are just joining us now, what the conversation was in the video that was shown, because some people maybe just be joining us right now.
Sure. So we had an interesting conversation going on inside of our mastermind private Facebook group this morning, and our colleagues were asking, how and what do we do in our videos to help connect and resonate with our target audience? And so they showed us a video that they kind of put together as like a rough draft, and it had a lot of stock imagery in it. And Russell Brunson actually commented, and he goes, I don't want to see stock imagery. I want to see pictures of you. I want to interact with you. I want to see pictures of your family. And that's where I chimed in and I said, people are much more interested in your why versus your how. And I said, people want to know each one of your backstories. Your backstories are going to be the catalyst of this. That's going to be the selling point, right? So authenticity, being authentic. What do you have to say about that?
Well, one, you and I talk about this quite a bit, and it looks like we may get a visitor today that may jump up on my chair. So authenticity. I mean, heck, it's us being right now. We're here on a business call. We're talking about authenticity, and I've got to, obviously we're filming right from our houses. We're about as authentic as we can be. I might have an animal jump up behind us and say hi. But one of the things that we actually had this discussion is our authenticity in telling our truth. You talked about our why. People buy why we do what we do, not how or what they're going to get. Buying decisions. I mean, Simon Sinek has one of the most popular videos out on TED Talks, and it talks about how he coins it the golden circle: the why, the how, the what. And when you focus in on why, people buy what you do, not how or what you're delivering. And the problem so many times when we look at the videos that we put out there, when we start talking about videos, we just start talking about success. We talk about results, and we forget to connect with the audience. In fact, it's funny, when the reason we're having this as a topic today, you and I were talking this morning on our regular morning daily call, and you told me this story, and I sort of just smiled and laughed. And I had my own inner circle mastermind meeting on Thursday and Friday, and this was a huge topic of discussion. And it really went down to, why show pictures of you and your family versus stock photos. And one of the gentlemen in the group was talking about it's the truth. And the more that we can provide who we are and what we do and connect with the audience, every little bit of information raises us up a notch. It either raises us up or lowers us. And so many times in this country, people are used to using other people's images versus themselves, their own photos, their offices, getting in and telling their own stories. And the more that you're able to add value with your own stories, the more you're going to elevate the value and have a connection with your audience.
That's the bottom line. It's being that authentic person you are off camera, offline, outside of business, to the person that you are inside your business. And it's amazing how people hide behind their marketing and they don't put out their true self. Now, what do you think that is? Is it just feeling that vulnerability and feeling like they're not going to be accepted or liked if they say the wrong thing?
Well, we say that, it's interesting. Some people think it's going to be to say the wrong thing. I think that, the number one fear is public speaking. Well, nowadays, I mean, think about yourself a year ago. You weren't on Facebook Live, and now you're walking around with your arm is a permanent attachment sticking out straight with a camera on it going live on Facebook, right?
Yeah. Yeah, on a daily basis.
On a daily basis. And it became a comfort factor. And the more, like anything, the more you do it, the more comfortable you become. I mean, the number one fear that I had, I was, when I was ranked in, in franchising, and I had all these awards, and I was interviewed on the news and in the media, that was fine. However, the first time a television camera, literally I was being interviewed and it was like NBC television camera and the red light went on, all of a sudden my legs started shaking, got nervous. And I didn't know why, except that all of a sudden, oh my gosh, what's coming out of my mouth can't be edited. It can't be massaged. And all of a sudden it was like new. Now, we're live all the time today when we do things like what we do and when we're on Facebook Live. And it doesn't matter. You know, here's the thing. People are going to judge us. And if they like what we say, great. If they don't like what we say, so what? The people that are going to resonate towards you and your message are going to resonate to you and your message. And if they don't, that's okay. They're going to find the people that they resonate with. So why do people not do it? It's a fear. It's a fear of going live. And so many times why people don't, I think, is we live in an instant, I guess we live in a 144 character society. It was Twitter and now it's Facebook, and people get to craft their messages and put what they want out there. And at the same time, they don't have to really communicate. It's little blurbs, little snippets of content and information. So one of the things that you've actually opened my eyes up to is just doing what we're doing now. It's getting out there and talking and just sharing what you do and why you do what you do.
That's it. And understanding that you're not going to die if somebody doesn't connect with you, or if somebody has something to say about you. I'll share with you a funny story. So when I first started doing Facebook Lives, right, I would do them and then I would boost them to, friends and friends of friends, and I would get some scathing responses. One guy told me one day that I should just delete my Facebook account. And some of the stuff is mean.
I think that person has some anger issues with themselves.
Yeah, and so, and then there was one that I was trying to explain something and I was getting long-winded, and somebody said, I'm falling asleep on this video or something like that, they said, right? And
yeah, but you're still watching it.
Exactly. But the funny thing was I didn't take that personal, Dave. Yeah. I took it as like the little birdie in my ear flying by going, hey, you need to just sharpen your blade. You need to perfect your craft. How do you do that? Well, you just get out there more.
More.
And don't be afraid of making the mistakes. Look, we tried to go live here 3 times before it finally stuck. And you know what? It is what it is. At least we're here, we're getting our message out, and we're trying to provide as much value as we can to our audiences, because that's what matters. And so sometimes people are going to connect with you and sometimes people aren't. But I think the biggest thing is not taking it personal.
And it's interesting, and let's talk about authenticity. I'm going to share some things that we discussed at the end of last week in our mastermind, because so many people try to hide behind the things that aren't them. And there's a gentleman in our group, Lou, very successful, although you wouldn't know it because his site doesn't look great. It looks like it was built in the early 90s, which it was. And if you go check it out, you're not going to make a favorable impression. However, if you ask questions, it was interesting. There's a gentleman in our group who's from another country, very successful, has 2 businesses, does well over $30 million a year. The guy's in around 30 years old. And he said, ask some questions. And he said, how do you do this yourself? He's like, well, yeah, I own 150 homes. He says, really? He said, you just went up in value here, because how many people do you know that own 150 homes? Not many. He says, so tell me more about your business. And he says, well, we've got vans with our, he says, you've got vans. How many vans? He says, you just went up a notch. How come you don't share that information? It's like, I don't know. I just don't. And it was interesting. So what he said, it was the whole conversation became, What do we put on our sites? How do we frame who we are? And do we utilize the relationships that we have, the people that we know, the people that we served and helped in order to continue to elevate that value? So people, when they go there and we've got seconds to engage them, do we frame it in a way that we can move that needle forward where they want to stay a little bit longer and hear about what we say, and we build that credibility and value through that?
Yeah. It's not about bragging. It's about showing results, showing what we have done in the past, and documenting that, right? Versus trying to create all of that new content. We should be talking about what we've accomplished in the past. And if you do it, if you do it in more of here's my experiences, here's what worked, here's what didn't work, it's a lot less selling, right? You're telling versus selling, right? I think some people are just afraid of, what if somebody thinks that I'm bragging, or what if I come off the wrong way? I say just take all of that out of your head. Don't worry about what other people think so much, and just be you. Like, for example, Gary Vee said the other day, people want to know at the end of the day how much you care. That's it. How much you actually care about them or their success. And that's the give and take. I mean, not the give and take, but I think that's the game changer. If you
you have to share.
Yeah, I mean, if you can market yourself in a way that will show how much you care, right? By taking the time and sharing your experiences. Game changer.
I'll give you a perfect example. When I was in my mid-20s, I was having a lot of success in corporate America. And by the way, I'm one of those examples that shows that you can be in corporate America for 10 to 15 years, leave it, and just keep that success going, because you've got to think it and believe it in yourself. But what happened is I was having a lot of success and I wasn't telling anyone about it. And my boss at the time, Mark, said, you need to shout it from the rooftops, because I can't be your only cheerleader here. He said, everyone else brags about what they are doing, and you're doing like 10 times more, and you're not telling anyone. I'm like, well, that's bragging. He said, it's not bragging if it's true. And he said, I want you to start thinking about how you can become a good self-marketer. And by the way, now today I'm a pretty darn good self-marketer. And it really took Mark, my buddy Mark, who we're still good friends to this day, to really coach me, mentor me on how to do that. And literally because of that, I got an opportunity to start a new division for this exact same company, where I grew it to $45 million in annual sales. I recall last year was over $9 million in profit. And it gave me the confidence then to venture out and become an entrepreneur.
There you go. So to wrap this up, authenticity is the make or break in your marketing. And just putting yourself out there and being vulnerable, not worrying about what other people think, care, say, not taking it personal, and showing people how much you care about their results or what they want to get out of your product or service is what's going to make you, more appealing and more human than your competitors. So
exactly.
keeping all this in mind, this will definitely, I hope, give you some insight and give you some thought about when the next time you go out to market yourself, are you being as authentic as you are behind closed doors? And we'll leave you with that, guys. So awesome episode once again. And we'll catch you next week.
See you next week.